all the best sports clips from around the country. Now you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They talk down to us. They think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then definitely please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of the Herd talking about Jets and the Aaron Rodgers. There was apparently a a report came out about a lot of Jets were really unhappy, like players and I guess maybe other staff members were upset with the Jets tunnel vision around Aaron and giving Aaron all this power and the way how everything unfolded. Now, I definitely understand that and can appreciate that and can see that being very valid, but I don't want to act like I think it's a tough thing to evaluate when we never got to see him play for the Jets. And so I want to see what Colin has to say, and then we can kind of go from there. But I definitely have some thoughts with regards to this.
Now, didn't always used to be like that. Bill only wants to coach certain players. He won't relinquish personnel duties. That's not sacrifice. That's not collaborative. That's not all in on winning. That's actually selfish. I've said this about NFL owners, a majority of them. They're not about winning. They're about winning on their terms, not relinquishing power. Jerry Jones needs to call himself a general manager. Let's be honest, kind of silly. We don't think he's the general manager. This article in The Athletic, 30 sources. Many had to be anonymous. They didn't want to get whacked. They're on the staff. 30 sources. Paints a picture that Aaron Rodgers is very much the same thing. Aaron wants to win on his terms, but it's secondary to Aaron being comfortable. Here we go. The article points out 30 sources. It is a team with an ill-equipped offensive coordinator, Nat Hackett, an excuse-making, paranoid head coach, and an organizational tunnel vision on a quarterback that rubbed many teammates the wrong way. It's such an effing mess, said one coach. Something has to change. Here's the really interesting part to me. Rodgers and Nat Hackett's relationship, this is something I've been told, is more frat bro than player coach. And Rodgers Aaron appreciates the free will to sort of operate the system as he sees fit. During camp, New York's defensive line's excellent, outplayed him in practice every day. One coach on the staff said it was concerning how little urgency Hackett and his staff showed in trying to fix it. He'd never seen a team watch less practice tape in training camp than the Jets' offense did with Hackett. Consider Aaron was new there. They had all these new pieces. During games, Hackett struggled to make adjustments. Against the Cowboys week 2, Dwayne Brown needed help blocking Micah Parsons. According to multiple team sources, Hackett never adjusted. Parsons dominated. Cowboys
they crushed the Jets. So, okay, we can go look at this from a few ways. But the biggest thing, and to me the most obvious, is that we never saw Aaron Rodgers play with the Jets. Obviously, he played like 3 snaps or whatever. Was it even that? And so we're judging this based off of not really seeing the final product. And to me, that's not fair. It's not to say that all of those issues aren't legitimate issues or wouldn't have been issues, because undeniably, but I don't think anyone can deny that Aaron Rodgers is a really, really good quarterback. I think if you're denying that, then you're just probably an Aaron hater. And you can hate him for other reasons. And, you know, I wouldn't love to have Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback personally, because I like people that really show that they really care, and people that aren't, you know, necessarily snarky and humble. And I like the Brock Purdy's of the world, the Jalen Hurts, the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, obviously, players like that, Justin Herbert. So Aaron Rodgers isn't necessarily at the top of my personal list, but at the same time, I still recognize his on-field talent. And again, with Nat Hackett, I get it that he's not maybe this like elite boy wizard, that they have with some of these other OCs or OCs turned head coaches. But the truth of the matter is that Aaron felt connected to him, and Aaron felt that they could do kind of magic together. And I guess it's worth it, especially if you think that you're going to have Aaron Rodgers for a few years, to at least try that first, right? Because if they had Nathaniel Hackett and this first season didn't work out too well, then they could be like, okay, we're going to get rid of him and we're going to go get Kellen Moore, or we're going to go get, it doesn't matter, someone else. But that's not what necessarily Aaron wanted, and Aaron had success with him in the past. And so it makes sense. And we even saw Tom Brady do similar things with regards to this. And we know that Tom Brady had, was, especially with Tampa Bay, was able to, especially his like final year, was able to really run the offense or have more influence than he would have had, say, with like Bill Belichick. And we see that these quarterbacks, like that and want that. And I can guarantee you that one day, if Andy Reid is not Patrick Mahomes' coach because Andy Reid just retires, or, whatever happens with Patrick Mahomes' career, I guarantee you in the later stages of Mahomes' career, he'll want the same thing. He'll want a lot of influence in the offense, and will want to be able to, have more influence. And so that's what Aaron was doing. But we didn't get to see the final outcome of it all. We didn't get to see the product on the field. So it's really easy to say, look how much of a disaster this was, look how much this sucks. But we didn't get to see it. And I really think that, especially considering how good their defense was and how their offense, their offense obviously wasn't good, but it was technically good enough to win some games, right? Obviously, they didn't go 0-17 or whatever. So they obviously could win with a quarterback who is just not that good at all. And you have to imagine that Aaron Rodgers would be able to clearly, obviously, do better than Wilson was able to do, Zach Wilson. And I think that there's really good reason to believe that, especially with that Jets defense and the way how the offense was able to stay in some games, relatively speaking, that they would have made the playoffs. I really, truly believe that. They were technically flirting with the playoffs because even with Zach Wilson. And the truth is that the door opened up a little bit more because of injuries. Because of the whole up and down with Cleveland, because of the up and down with the Bills, because the Dolphins, the Dolphins fell from grace, because Justin Herbert got injured, and also they fired their head coach for the Chargers, as well as Cincinnati Bengals injury. The Steelers were just like getting on by, so you had a lot of these teams that were kind of just getting on by, that you have to imagine that with a great defense and Aaron Rodgers at the helm, that team was going to they were obviously going to be better, dare I say significantly better, and I think they would have definitely made the playoffs. And then who knows? Seriously, who knows? Who knows if they show up, and play the Bills and they do better, or who knows? Maybe the first round is against the Chiefs instead of the Dolphins, and who knows if they beat the Dolphins? Who knows if they beat the Chiefs? We just can't say that for sure. That defense is legit. That defense clearly would have been able to compete with the Chiefs because they held their own with Zach Wilson. Okay? I forget. They ended up losing that game, but it was a very close game, and it was like a controversial call. So it was a very close game. I'm pretty positive if we take out Zach Wilson and put Aaron Rodgers there's a really good chance that specific game the Jets would have beat the Chiefs. And so now who knows if they squeak into the playoffs and play them in that first round. That's a real chance that the Chiefs could have lost that game. It's a real chance. It really, really is. I understand you diehard Chiefs fans are going to say, no way, that's ridiculous, but it's clearly possible. And especially because that cold weather wouldn't have affected the Jets. Jets are used to cold weather. Aaron is used to cold weather. So it would have just been a different game. And then again, maybe they're not playing the Chiefs. Maybe they're playing the Bills, and they could definitely beat the Bills. So it just, a lot of things could change. So I just want to be so quick, because then what would you say if Aaron Rodgers was signed by, played for the Jets and they were able to play the whole season and they went out and beat the Chiefs in the first round? Would you say this was a disaster? This was wrong? No, you wouldn't say that. Or even if they just beat the Bills, or if they just made the playoffs and still lost. I just don't know if you would have the same type of reaction. So it's just not fair. And again, I don't want to defend this necessarily the Jets' decision per se, or say that they're wrong, I guess I should say. But I just think it's not fair to judge the outcome because we never got to actually see what the intended product was supposed to be. I mean, to me, that's what it really gets boiled down to. And it's really easy to point out all these flaws when someone gets injured and you don't ever really get to step out on the field, right? Because you just never got to really see it. And so I just don't think that's fair. And I think based on how the season went for not only the Jets, but all the other teams, especially in the AFC, I think there's real reason to believe that the Jets would have made the playoffs and then absolutely positively could have won at least one playoff game, could have made some noise. Maybe they would, they almost beat the Chiefs during the regular season. So clearly that means they could have beaten them in the playoffs, especially with Aaron Rodgers at the helm and especially with that Jets defense. So you just don't know. And the Bills, who knows what happens with the Bills? Depending on if you're a Bills fan or not, people make the argument that the Steelers almost beat the Bills. And so what are you asking? You really think that the Steelers are better than the Jets with Aaron Rodgers as the starting quarterback? No, get the heck out of here. There's just no way. Absolutely, possibly, no way. And especially with TJ Watt injured, So I think that would have changed everything, quite honestly. Now the problem is that Aaron's hurt. He's a year older. He's a year of not playing football. So if this next season doesn't go well, they say, see, this was a disaster. And even then, we never really got to see it because now he's recovered from an Achilles tendon surgery, and he's also a whole year older and a year removed from football. So obviously, he's not going to play as good as he would have played this last season if he was able to play. So we're never really going to ultimately see what would have happened. It's kind of like if Tom Brady got injured that first year with Tampa Bay. Who's to say that he would have ever won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay? But he was very fortunate. He stayed healthy, obviously. They were able to get on a run. They went out and made some moves, getting people like Gronk and Antonio Brown and doing those things. And it made the difference. They obviously won the Super Bowl. And it's not to say that I was predicting that the Jets would win the Super Bowl or would even be super competitive and have a chance at winning the Super Bowl. I never really went that far. I just wanted to kind of see, I have no idea what's going to happen with this. Let's just see what happens. And the truth is we just never got to see it. So I think evaluating it based off of it like that and saying it as a failure, I think is unnecessary and not fair. And again, I'm not like an Aaron Rodgers defender by no stretch of the imagination, but I do try to stay as fair and as unbiased as I possibly can. And I don't think it's a fair shake, honestly. So that's the way I see it. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this one. Please let me know in the comments below. Do you think this whole thing was a disaster with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets? What do you think about the 30 sources coming out saying that they're mad at the Jets organization for their tunnel vision and with Nat Hackett and all that type of stuff? Would love to hear your thoughts. Please let me know them. Please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would really love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really helps with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.